Hey, gang, it's time to get down to work. Get to 6 wins, go 1-0 against the Terps.
You are Locked On Huskers, your daily podcast on the Nebraska Cornhuskers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you, everybody, for making Locked On Huskers your first stop. Watch, listen each and every single day. Greatly appreciated. Again, live from Lincoln, Nebraska, home of the Fighting Huskers, University of Nebraska, Lincoln. Before we get into this episode and talk about the Fighting Terps, Mark Onweiler, if you would please let them know about Gametime.
Thank you, DP. This episode of Locked On Huskers is brought to you by Gametime. Guys, when you're looking for tickets to events, you shouldn't have to worry about whether your seats are good, if you can even find seats, if they're too expensive, if they're more expensive than the guy next to you paid. None of that should be on your mind when you're buying tickets. You need to check out Gametime. Gametime is the fast and easy way to buy tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, and theater events near you. And with killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their best price guarantee, Gametime takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. Gametime is the only ticketing app that gives you complete peace of mind with your purchase. See the view from your seat before you buy so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive. All-in prices show your total up front so you know you're getting a great deal without any hidden fees. And you can buy tickets in seconds with just 2 taps on your phone. They're obsessed with finding ways to help you save money on tickets. They have deals on tickets right up until the start of the event, even an hour after the start of the event. It's the place to find last-minute seats. You can find exclusive flash deals and sponsored deals on tickets for football, basketball, baseball, concerts, comedy, theater, and more. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem the code LOCKEDONCollege, 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 for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. DP, back to you.
Thank you, folks, and I appreciate everybody who subscribes. Click pause. I'll freeze while you hit the subscribe button. Well done. Thank you very much. Greatly appreciated for hanging out with us, making Locked On Huskers a part of your Husker consumption. Greatly appreciate you all for doing what you do. Put your comments down in the comment section, things you want me to talk about, things that I may have missed or things that I got right. I know which list is longer, but that's okay. I'm good with that. I wanted to jump into the opponent for Saturday and then the details of how Nebraska is dealing with the loss to Michigan State and what it means. It was interesting to watch not only Matt Rhule, but Marcus Satterfield and Tony White and the players, and to have Luke Reimer, to have the Huskers talk about how they handled the 20-17 loss to Michigan State, what it means to the players, how it was being processed by the coaches, and then in turn giving the fans freedom and kind of co-partnering in responsibility and being accountable. And there's a lot of things that people would identify as coach speak. But the reality is it's common verbiage and the shared language that's oh so important in developing and reforming and rebranding your team into a program. The team is 5-4. The program is searching. It is that thing that happens where the circle is there and it is recalculating, because it has to determine what the program is worthy of and valued so that the team can get its work done and achieve its mission. And I love the fact that Matt Rhule, Coach White, and Coach Satterfield all said the same thing in that we, the coaches, will be responsible and accountable for making the changements and adjustments and allowing our players to have success on Saturday. They spoke in accountability, being responsible for putting players in the right situation and scenario so that they could have success. They used the word urgency. Like that's a thing, and how deeply important it is for the coaching staff and the players to not only realize urgency is a thing and that accountability is a must, but to spread that and to continually say it so that it is fed so constantly and consistently for immediate value into this team so that it can become a program. Being accountable for situation. Listen, there were breaks in pass coverage and in run fits. There were breakdowns in gap control. There was coaches who, quite frankly, saw something and couldn't communicate it, and things that were communicated that were not understood. But I feel better listening to the coaching staff walk up, stand at the podium, take the microphone, and then say, listen, we as a collective, as a group, as a team, and as a program are going to get it right. And here's how. Not only did they identify the problems that existed, situation and circumstance, they then identified a resolution to a fix for those said problems. And it gives me greater hope that Nebraska will get it right in the next opportunity. Now, mind you, I will say this, that Mike Loxley also is taking accountability for the Terps' poor performance against Penn State. Both coaches and programs and teams were talking about, listen, we're better than we showed, but now we have to show better than we did. The Terps, look, from a talent standpoint, position by position, if you went up and down, look, the Terps are loaded. They're athletically gifted. This is not a poorly coached team either. But the opportunity sits, and the truth and the facts remain that both teams are 5-4. Both teams are spinning a little based on last week's results. And they both understand that both of these programs and both of these teams need to take advantage of this situation Saturday in Lincoln at Memorial Stadium to turn their programs and their team's season around. The understanding of it is important. The accountability, this public accountability, takes a huge burden off of the players. For the coach to say, quite frankly, we need to be better. And that we thing has power, and it lets you know that, listen, we're trying to – the coaching progression is forward, getting better, and up, forward and up. So we're moving from the place that we currently are, whatever that place is, and at 5-4, with certain numbers in play, that the coaching staff has committed publicly and verbally, and then we get to show through action that they are trying to move the team forward and up. You also have to do that for your program to become a program, because the resetting of standards is valued, and most importantly, it's mandatory for teams to get better, to identify the problems. That, listen, Nebraska will tell you 17 points against Michigan State is not what they game planned and is not what they were striving for. And to get to the 17, there are things that they have to do on a regular and consistent basis. They have to run the ball. They have to play penalty-free. And then they have to make good decisions in the passing game. They have to be true to what they practice and committed. Nothing is called on Saturday that has not been practiced in high repetition all week long. So what the coaching staff needs to remind this team that, listen, do what we worked on. And we've given you solution to any problem that can come up in the course of the game. We're not going to call a play that you're not familiar with how to run. We're not going to call it in a situation where you question it. And then we're going to free you up to play fast and free so that you can accomplish what you need to accomplish. There are lots of numbers in play, and there's some players to identify on the Maryland side. When we come back to Locked On Huskers, I'm going to go through some of those players. We'll start with the offense, and this is an explosive group from College Park. Lots to look forward to and lots to talk about here on Locked On Huskers. Hey, gang, and again, I appreciate you coming to hang out with me here on Locked On Huskers. Your Huskers every day, and that's the mission and the task. I accept said mission, and I plan to deliver said things. Before we get into identifying some of this roster and some of the talent and some of the numbers from Maryland, Mark Onweiler, would you please let them know about FanDuel?
Thank you, DP. This episode of Locked On Huskers is brought to you by FanDuel. Score early this NFL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 moneyline bet. That's $150 if your team wins. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action. The app is so easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, over-unders, and more. So visit FanDuel.com/LockedOnCollege and kick off the NFL season. Again, that's FanDuel.com/LockedOn. FanDuel, the official partner of the NFL. DP, back to you.
Fair enough, Mark. Thank you very much. Greatly appreciate it. And again, for you Locked On Huskers fans, for those of you who have subscribed, who get this content every day, thank you. Thank you so very much for doing that. Greatly appreciate you for hanging out and accepting the content. Feel free to put your comments down in the comment section. And then if you have questions or other, please reach out. Greatly appreciate it as well. I wanted to get into this Maryland roster and some of the things that have been done in play. And so you can start to identify from a talent standpoint and then from a stat standpoint who this Maryland Terrapin team is. Now, are you ready for this? Because on the offensive side of the ball, this Terrapin offense can do some damage. They average just under 400 yards a game, 280 yards passing, and 117 on the ground. Now, look, I'm just going to tell you that this passing attack, Maryland has several different ways and several different levels to approach and to attack you. But those numbers to tell you that 397, almost 400 yards a game passing the ball, in offense, and 281 yards throwing the ball. That is a ton. Look, Talia Tagovailoa is legit. And for a perspective, he has 21 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. Now, deep inhale. That playing it against the type of talent, look, they've faced some monsters in the Big Ten, and he still managed to work at a 3-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio. And I don't care what's the situation. If you're passing the ball 20 times a game and you're still getting a 3-to-1 ratio, you're doing a thing offensively. Listen, you are doing a thing. But to do it in the Big Ten Conference and with 335 attempts, 2,486 yards in passing. He's one toss from 2,500 with 21 touchdowns. And he's got receivers that, there is depth and talent in full on this Maryland receiving corps. Jay Jones is listen, to watch some guys and you understand what Sunday guys look like. They have 3 receivers, Deshaun Jones, Caden Prather, and Ty Felton. All of them are 30-plus catch guys. Now, again, for Nebraska, you don't have those. But 30, you have 3 30 catch guys. That doesn't even include your tight end, who also has 30-plus catches. 3 receivers who can go long, who can get yard, bang their head on the goalpost. 3 receivers with 4 touchdowns or more. All 3 of those receivers average a first down per catch, 13 yards and above per catch. 13, 14-2, and 14-7. And then with a tight end that averages 9-8, let's say 10 yards a catch. So you would think that this is a pass-first, pass-only situation. And listen, Nebraska has had its problems stopping passing games. There's no slight to it. But we watched it against Michigan State and the inability to get off the field in times. But this is fixable because in the 3-3-5, they're going to create some looks for Tagovailoa that he probably hasn't seen all season, at least not on a regular basis. And so in your head, you want to say, well, listen, you will mix and match and get into pass coverage, change some of the coverages, change some of your pressures, and you'll be able to affect Maryland because they can't run the ball. Not so fast. Roman Hemby is a Sunday caliber talented running back for Maryland. Look, averaging 4.7 yards a carry with your backup Coleman McDonald averaging 6.9 a carry. They have 3 rushers at over 200 yards, and all of them are plus 3.9 a carry. 8 rushing touchdowns amongst the 3. And if you look at the numbers for Maryland, look, a few things when you look at the stats. Yes, those rushing numbers, while they're down, it's mainly because you're putting so much into the passing game. They're 10th in the Big Ten Conference in rushing at 117 yards a game. But as I told you, the averages for the runners is pretty good. They spread you out and try to take advantage of you. This offense is second in the Big Ten Conference in passing. Second at 281 yards a game. Total offense, 397 yards a game. They are third in the Big Ten Conference. All of those are in the top half in the country. Scoring offense, let me just exhale and say it. This offense averages 30 points a game. Over 30 points a game. Almost 31. And for point of reference, Nebraska averages 20 points a game. So what you hope is that this Nebraska black shirt defense can pull Maryland's 30 down to 23, 24, and then get that many points themselves. We make no promises. You can't make promises, I can tell you that. There's some numbers in play for Maryland and Nebraska that gives you some idea that Maryland will be able to strike big. If I'm Nebraska, I need to keep Maryland's offense off the field. I'm in full transparency. I'm a DC kid. The first college football game I ever saw was at College Park at the old Bird Stadium. I followed the Terps and kind of watched the transferring of programs. This used to be an old run the ball program. Nebraska fans can relate. And now that you have to throw the ball, and it makes it easier in the Big Ten Conference, well, that's the kind of day you're going to have. Maryland has the kind of offense that is never, quite frankly, out of a game because they can put points up in a hurry. They have the playmakers. And by playmakers, I want to define. Anytime it's a situation where a player is going to be plus yardage simply based on what he adds to the play, that he will make more catches in that space, he will get more yardage after the catch. In a running game, he will get plus yardage, win some 50-50 balls, beat a tackler in open field, defensively beat a blocker and make a play, turning over a ball, getting your hands on interceptions. All of those playmakers. Well, Maryland and Nebraska both have playmakers. It's going to be an interesting Saturday. I'm just going to point out that I think we're in for a good one at Memorial Stadium on Saturday. We'll go to break. When we come back, we'll close out. We'll talk about this Maryland defense and what Nebraska may try to do against the Huskers in that fold. I'm DP, Locked On Huskers. It is going to be an interesting day. The weather should be good Saturday in Lincoln, Nebraska. Looking forward to that. The better days in November tend to mean, okay, well, we might be able to throw the ball around. That favors Maryland. This would be a really good day for it to just snow and put the Terps in a tough situation trying to throw the ball around. But that's not what's happening. So this is where we are. I want to go through some more of the numbers defensively for Maryland and to give you some idea about what this Nebraska offense is facing. And this is an offense that has been in some turmoil. So we have to understand. Maryland is 6th in the Big Ten Conference in rush defense. Pretty stout numbers, and they're limiting folks to 114 yards. Now, that sounds all fine and dandy. That puts you in the top half of the Big Ten until you compare it to Nebraska's 77 yards a game. Facts. At the bottom of the Big Ten Conference, in the bottom 2, is Maryland's pass defense. At 13th in the Big Ten Conference, 73rd in the country. They give up 233 yards a game in the air. Now, some of that is coverage. Some of that is not getting home, not getting pressure. But my goodness gracious, that's an opportunity. Now, is that a thing that Nebraska has had success in? Nebraska offensively will have an opportunity to get right in their passing game and to identify what it is they can do against Maryland. When you look at Maryland's defense on tape, especially in pass defense, Maryland has missed tackles and given up yards after catch. Does Nebraska's receivers have the playmaking capability to catch short routes, get long with it, and then win the 50-50 deep balls to put points on the board? That sounds simple, but that's the attack plan. If you're going to go after Maryland's defense, it's going to be that way. In scoring defense, they give up 24 points a game. If Nebraska scores 24 points, it'll be in the game, but I'm not sure it wins it because, again, Maryland averages 30 points a game. I'll ask you what you think that minimum number, offensive number, Nebraska's offense needs to put together. Nebraska offensively, again, just to be clear, first in the Big Ten Conference in rushing. That puts them in the top 35 in the country. They are 13th in passing offense. So here's what you have. You have the 13th ranked passing offense against the 13th ranked passing defense. Oh, boy. That's where we are. That's where we are. Nebraska, 126th in the country in passing offense. It is Nebraska and its run strike offense versus Maryland and its pass strike offense. That's what the matchup is. It's going to be pretty interesting. On third down, Maryland is better. And that is a stat that you can circle and follow and track to make sure you can identify how this game is going to go. Maryland is second in the Big Ten Conference in third down offense. Both of these teams struggle in the red zone. Not real sure why Maryland would have those problems. The punting game, Maryland's punter is fifth in the Big Ten Conference, averaging over 40 a kick. Punt returns, they're at seventh in the conference. Nebraska's 12th. And punt return defense, Maryland is fifth in the Big Ten Conference versus Nebraska, which is ninth. Maryland's kick returns haven't been terrible. Nebraska ranks fifth in the Big Ten Conference in kickoff returns, and they are Maryland is not good in kick return. Look, the kick return defense, I had to look at the number again. They're averaging giving up 27 yards a kick return. That is last in the Big Ten Conference. And then for Nebraska, take a deep breath. Penalties matter. And the team that just goes without penalty and does better in this gives themselves an opportunity to win a ball game. Both of these teams are right in the middle of the pack of the Big Ten in penalties and penalty yards. Turnovers could play into it. Let me just say this. Maryland is really good at creating turnovers. They're sixth in the Big Ten Conference, top 50 in the country. Nebraska is not. They're in the bottom third of the Big Ten, and they're absolutely at the bottom of the Big Ten in turnovers lost and turnover margin. Don't turn the ball over. You have a chance to win a game. Look, I don't think it's that complicated. Playmakers will make plays. Turnovers will impact the game. That's it for today's episode of Locked On Huskers. Thank you for making Locked On Huskers your first watch and listen each and every single day. We'll close with the three words we love so much. Go Big Red.